Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino back here, and I've been doing so much soccer content that it's good to finally be able to talk about the NFL again. And kind of to start it off, I think the Joey Bosa story and just the kind of the timeline of the way that the tumultuous situation with the Chargers and him have gone back and forth obviously has reached its ultimate point now with the Chargers pulling their offer to him. And look, I mean, the Chargers kind of were in a situation where they were kind of obviously the ones in control, and Bosa didn't really have much leverage being the rookie in the position that he's in. And now the Chargers really kind of put out there what their offer was, an initial signing bonus payment that was larger than any rookie has received in the last two NFL drafts, more money in 2016 than every rookie in the year's class except the two quarterbacks taken, and basically Carson Wentz, and then basically the largest payment and the highest percentage of signing bonus received in the first calendar of any Chargers first round pick since the adoption of the NFL's collective bargaining agreement in 2011. So the Chargers kind of outlined it all of what Bosa was kind of being offered, and now it makes him look really bad because when you look at all of that stuff, you say, well, what's the problem here? Why isn't Bosa taking the deal? A lot of people are speculating that he just doesn't want to play for the Chargers, and there's probably a large amount of truth to that, especially with the way that this kind of drama has played out. But I think largely it does seem to be about where some of the offset language and where some of the back end of the money would be paid, how much he wants up front. I'm not a finance guy. I just talk about the sports the way that I see it, and the way I kind of look at it is, look, in the draft, Bosa was one of my least favorite top players. I just think when we look at our stars, the way we define them is what they do when it matters most. And Joey Bosa had a tremendous career at Ohio State, but I don't think you can look at his career there and pick out a single moment where you looked at him where he really needed to step up. Against Michigan State this season, where was he? Against Notre Dame in the bowl game, he gets himself kicked out of it. So when I look at Joey Bosa, like we always do with the people we deem stars, I say, where's this guy been when it mattered most? And he just wasn't there. And I think for the Chargers, they're kind of in a situation where they obviously have not gotten a lot of productivity, getting sacks, registering a consistent pressure on the quarterback the last two seasons. So it was clearly a need for them, but it obviously is not looking like it's a situation that it's just going to be beneficial. Because even, let's say this all does get ironed out, how awkward is it going to be with this marriage? And I think right now this marriage obviously isn't going to look good. And any logical person could look at it and say, what kind of stable relationship is built when you've had this much trouble getting off on the right foot with each other? And I think largely this has just been so bad. And obviously Bosa now kind of looks like the bad one now that the Chargers have kind of painted a picture of what was on the table and what he's been walking away from. And one of the interesting things I didn't know until today was that his father, who also did play in the NFL, he also sat out 41 days until he signed his rookie contract. And largely when I look at Bosa, this is a guy who obviously is the third pick in the draft, a player who we all elevate to a very high status because of where he was taken, where he played in college, and the expectations because of what he did in college. But this is not the way that you want to start off your legacy in the NFL. I mean, this really isn't. You're going to be judged the moment you step your foot in the door there. And if this is the way that you've acted, and this is the way that you're kind of selling your image, selling the way that what you represent, well, to me, that's just not the kind of guy I even want to deal with on my football team. And you think of the old school traditional guys like the Tom Coughlins would want to have to deal with something like this. And I think it also does say something about the Chargers organization at the same time, because we've seen in the past too. I mean, you go back and you look at the Eli Manning situation. Eli gets drafted by them, but he made it clear from the start he did not want to be drafted by them. And I think it's one of those things where now the Chargers don't really look as bad here because, again, how much more could you really ask the Chargers to do here? Basically, one of the biggest things that you read, and there's so much content out there about why this isn't getting done and what the problem with it is here. But I mean, you basically look at it, and it's just a situation now where it's on Bosa. I mean, one of the lines that jumped out to me in one of those stories I read today were the Chargers also appear unwilling to move off of the inclusion of offset language in the contract, pointing to the fact that 29 of the 31 first-round draft picks in this year's draft have offset language in their contracts. That has been one of the big sticking points in this whole Bosa thing here. But again, you see it right there. 29 of the 31 first-round picks have offset language. So to me, when I hear something like that, that's not something that I think is a defense in Bosa's corner. And it'd be one thing if Bosa was that one-in-a-lifetime transcendent talent, a guy who's going to change the face of your franchise, a quarterback-esque guy. But he's not. Let's be honest. I mean, the Chargers are going to might walk away from this, and they could lose out on a tremendous opportunity where they could have improved their football team, where they'll miss out on a third selection in the NFL draft. But it's one of those things now where you ask, even if Joey Bosa is what he projects to be, is he a difference maker? Is this guy going to be one of the faces of being one of the top defensive players in the NFL? And I just have never seen it. Again, we judge our stars based on what they do when it matters most, and Joey Bosa has never done that in Ohio State, and I don't expect why it would be any different at the NFL level. And clearly, your legacy matters, the way that you present yourself matters, the way that you conduct and you just react and you base your character off of. It's shown from a very early stage on, and you always have to set the right example from the onset. Especially when you're a young guy, you have a lot to prove, and especially when you're demanding what you demand, you have to prove you're worthy of it. And Bosa hasn't done that, and I think largely he's the one who looks really bad in this situation. And right now, it doesn't look like it's going to have a happy ending, but we will certainly see how it does end. Until then, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll catch everybody in the next episode.